Hey, what's going on, everybody? TujoPanda back in action, playing some Amorous tonight. So, I asked you all who you wanted to see me date first, and the people have spoken. All three of them. Yeah, I set up a survey about a week ago, a little bit over a week ago, basically asking who you all wanted to see me date first. And the choices were Skye, Dustin, Jax, Mercy, and Zenith. First vote that came in was for Zenith, followed by Dustin, followed by Skye. So, I decided to take a coin. I flipped the coin, heads for Zenith, tails for Dustin. Zenith won. Then I did that same trick with Skye, and tails for Zenith, heads for Skye, and Zenith won again. So we're basically going to continue the rest of the episodes with, dating Zenith first. I really hope I can get his voice down because he's got a really deep voice. At least my imaginations of him, anyway. But yeah, big hulking dragon dude. I mean, of course, 2021. Who would you want to see me date? But anyway, after that, I guess we're just gonna do the whole thing over again, Just ask everybody who they want to see me date next and do another survey. I really hope we get more votes than 3 people, but hey, I'll take it. So, let's just go ahead and click continue. I really hope I got the ratios between the music and my voice correct, because previously on Amorous. Double trouble. Heading over to grab a drink from the machine, I noticed one of the bouncers chatting up a fairly energetic customer. They seemed to be having a good time, the smaller male wiggling his hips side to side and eyeing the large dragon with eyes that suggested all sorts of mischief. Perhaps this was my chance to meet some new people, like Kobe suggested? Let's watch the scene unfold. I figured it might be smart to see what these two were up to before settling in on their private conversation. I approached the vending machine and leaned against it nonchalantly, acting like I was thinking about getting something to snack on. I took in the atmosphere of Amorous, both the club and the situation in general. There was something oddly relaxing about being up here away from the press of the crowded dance floor. Was this the reason most people came out to these places? I could imagine myself chilling in a booth downstairs rather than freaking out trying to dance and show off. I felt more at home with that idea. Before long, I couldn't help but overhear the conversation next to me.
Huh. Is that so? You know, Rose, you do this every weekend. What's in it for me this time?
What's in it for you? Well, how about this? The small avian leaned up, hand on the dragon's chest, swishing his hips the whole time. He whispered into his ear as the large male leaned down, a grin lightening his gruff features a few moments later. Now that was a winning smile, even if the smaller guy and him were clearly involved from the intimate way they touched when he whispered. Before I'd even realized it, the security guard had turned to me. He had that wide grin still on his handsome features, teeth glinting in the bright lighting of the club. I caught a glance at his name tag, Zenith. The other guy in the tight shorts stood beside him, a pixie-ish glint in his eyes.
Well. I don't think I've seen you around here before. And trust me, I wouldn't know someone as cute as you.
They were so forward. Despite that, they seemed nice enough. With a smile, I extend my hand to the dragon. Hey, I'm Tujo. Pleasure to meet both of you. Actually, I've not been here too much. It's basically my first time here. Hell, it's my first time to any club. Zenith reached out and gripped my hand firmly, giving it a squeeze. Ouch! How much does this guy lift? I stifled a grimace by biting my teeth as he both shook, as he playfully let go of my hand.
Oh man, manners too? My poor heart. Nice to meet you, Tujo. I'm Zenith.
Zenith let out a hearty laugh, with his sighs to sound easily cut over by the thumping of the music.
What do you say, Rose? Think we've got a winner here?
Winner? What do you mean? The avian in the belly top, Rose by the sound of it, eyed me up a few times and nodded. There was a sultry look about him, hand on his hip, appraising me as he gave a little wink. Something about his look was a little off. A smirk, maybe? The way he seemed to try me on for size was more than a little forward. I think so. He's absolutely adorable. Never one to turn down fresh meat, either. It was becoming very apparent what was happening here. I should put the brakes on a little before this goes any further. Alright, I know where this is going. I didn't come out tonight for a quick fuck with 2 complete strangers. Can we start over?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't mean to come off across that way. I mean, I did, but...
Zenith looked conflicted. I sort of felt bad for putting a halt to the fun, but something here wasn't quite right. His cocky expression vanished as he stared daggers at his friend. It looked like he was about to say something before Rose piped up. Oh, now you say something! Wasn't it obvious what was going on from the moment we started talking? Let me be blunt. Yes, we were looking for a third party tonight for a little fun. If you want to go back to the shallow end, that's in the lounge downstairs. Rose was more frustrated than his cocky attitude could quite hide. Lost the game, maybe? I had a feeling that there was a little bit more to the situation than I knew. Of course, you're not the first. But tell me this, Tujo. Do you want to get lucky tonight or not? Trust me, you're not going to find much better. I could see Zenith visibly grit his teeth as Rose spoke. It looked like he was on the brink of yelling. However, after Rose finished speaking, he turned the frown into what seemed like his signature toothy grin.
Yeah, you down for a romp, Tujo?
I sighed. I didn't want to make a bad situation any worse, and I could already read all the signs that there was something else was going on here. Look, guys, I'm gonna have to pass. Thanks for being so friendly with me tonight, though. It really means a lot. I didn't expect to meet so many nice people here. Are you fucking serious? What a waste of time. You promised me you could hook me up with anyone, Zenith. It looks like your charm wasn't enough this time. I was taken aback by the sudden outburst. The brunt of Rose's complaints seemed to be with Zenith. Had they made some sort of bet? They muttered back and forth for a moment. Zenith said Rose had promised not to do this. Rose said Zenith was being a bitch, as usual. I was about to leave them to their whispered fight when the girly avian shot me one last glare and shortened off, but not before snatching up his drink from nearby and emptying it on Zenith's shirt. I'm gonna go find Zach. And don't go thinking you can join in this, Zenith. Ciao, bitches. What a scene. I had no idea what was going on, but Zenith certainly looked upset. The charming, cocky bouncer that I first met was replaced with someone else entirely. He folded his arms across the wet patch on his broad chest, looking to the side and grimacing as he fought to remain as cool. He took a moment, caught his breath, and forced a smile.
I'm sorry about all that, Tujo. You shouldn't have gotten roped into this mess. Tell you what, next time I see you, I owe you an apology drink. As for right now, I think I'm gonna call it a bad night and go home.
Since I'd met him, Zenith seemed at his most genuine right now. Even clearly simmering and humiliated, it seemed like whatever it was that was going on, it had been Rose's game, not his. Part of me wanted to find out what exactly had happened. An even larger part of Rose and Zenith were an item, because they really shouldn't be. Was it really my business? There's no way I can leave things like this. Before the dragon could make his escape into the staff-only room, I caught his wrist. Zenith cocked his head back over his shoulder as I let him go. Maybe not the best time to be grabbing him more. Look, I know it's not my place, but obviously something serious just happened. I can't let you walk off like that in good conscience. Do you want to sit down and maybe talk it over? Zenith closed his eyes, sighed, and showed me that big toothy grin. Without Rose checking in on him, it felt a lot more real this time. He pointed to the stairs and held out his hand for me.
Gonna need that drink and a fresh start, yeah? The name's Zenith. To whom do I owe the pleasure?
That toothy grin never left Zenith's face. I didn't know him well enough to know if he was faking it or not, as he extended his hand out for a handshake. I extend my hand sharing his grin, playing along for the time being. His grip was like a vice. Damn. Maybe I learned a little bit of squeezing after jumping in on Rose's game, though. You can call me Tujo. For some reason, I feel like we've met before.
That's strange, isn't it? Must be fate playing tricks on us.
Zenith retracted his vice-like hand and laughed again, starting toward the stairs with me following him. We took our place at the bar and Zenith took my order. We were served almost instantaneously, thanks to his staff shirt. After the first sip of his beer, The frustration still smoldering under the Zenith surface seemed to have cooled off enough that Zenith didn't seem on the verge of punching a wall or something. He savored the mild bubbles, exhaled, and we both seemed to come to the realization that I'd been staring at him a little. I busied myself with my own drink. I was a little surprised by what he'd ordered, but I suppose I was more concerned about getting Zenith over what had happened with Rose. Zenith chuckled, rolling his glass between his palms a little. When I looked back, he seemed a little embarrassed.
Thanks, Tujo. I mean it. I'm just a stranger. Hell, a stranger who was sort of leading you on a little. You didn't have to reach out and see if I was okay. You're kind of one of those good ones, huh?
So what was the deal with Rose, anyways? You acted so differently when you were around him. It's almost like you were a different person.
I'd prefer if we didn't talk about that right now. I'm enjoying myself at the moment. Perhaps another time?
Sure, let's change the subject. So, Zenith, tell me a little bit about yourself. Have you been a bouncer here long?
Well, I've been a bouncer here since the place opened up. Trust me, I've seen some crazy shit go down that makes what happened earlier look like a party. Fights, breakups, orgies, even a robbery. Well, almost a robbery.
Wait, you saw this place get robbed?
Hold on.
Orgies? Should I feel even more worried about Kobe coming here so often?
That's the part that caught your interest? Regardless, yeah. A couple of punks tried to rob some of the VIPs one night, with switchblades no less. Luckily, me and one of the other bouncers managed to take them all down before anyone got hurt. Turns out, all that cop training was good for something after all.
Zenith's modesty was humbling. He was so casual and relaxed as he talked about taking down a bunch of guys with knives. I had to note that his arm flexing subtly as he told the story proved how well he could handle himself. It was weird that he'd settled for being a club bouncer with a body like his. So, you used to be a cop, huh? I mean, from the looks of you, I can definitely see it. The moment I said those words, he lowered his flexing arm and washed his fading grin away entirely with a gulp of his beer. He seemed like he'd seen a ghost. I suppose he did have his reasons then?
Let's pretend I never brought it up, alright? Seriously, drop it, yeah? For me.
So, breakups I can imagine. But just how many orgies have you seen here? I smiled warmly as the color returned to his face bit by bit. A brief but noticeable nod as he composed himself. He clapped me on the back with a large hand. Once, twice, 3 times. He was a jackhammer of platitudes. That was likely to leave a bruise if I wasn't careful.
Yeah. More orgies than I think either of us could handle in a lifetime. But seriously, I don't think I've had a proper casual conversation with someone here for a while. Thanks for that. I ain't exactly used to it, but it's relaxing. I owe you.
Zenith reached into his pocket and pulled out a small notepad and pen. He scribbled his number onto the pad and tore off the sheet, handing it over. I took it, and Zenith finished his drink as I programmed it in my phone, pushing off from the bar when he was done.
Give me a call sometime, Tujo. I need to unwind after tonight's shit show. And you're fun to be around. Gonna head out now. But don't leave me hanging too long, huh?
Sure thing, Zenith. Thanks. Well, it certainly wasn't an encounter I wasn't going to forget anytime soon. I guess he was worth calling back. For now, the night was still young. Keep his number. Alright. Yeah, this music is like overpowering sometimes. Anyway, let's go ahead and give Zenith a call. Contacts. Zenith's status says that he's already at the local shooting range. I should ask him if he wants to meet me there. Hey Zenith, Tujo Mizuki here, from the other day. See you're at the range from your pacebook. Wanna hang out?
Hey, good timing. Just got here. Sure, bud. Can do. Gonna be here in a few hours, so may as well have some company. You know the address, right?
Yeah, got it. Anyway, your pacebook has a map.
Haha, quit being a weird stalker and get your ass down here then.
It took me around an hour to finally get to the shooting range. I wasn't unfamiliar with it, though traffic in the middle of the day had certainly held me up more than I wanted. Hopefully Zenith wouldn't be too upset with me for being late. I couldn't help but be a little confused by him still. He was very hot and cold at the club, and joining him at the range wasn't exactly anything we'd planned as far as a date or anything like that. I guess I was overthinking things. The range wasn't anything to write home about. It didn't seem to be particularly busy at this time of day. There was an older guy in a khaki utility vest minding the sign-in book. He thumbed to a sign that read, "Valid IDs only." Under it, scratched in a Sharpie, was "Guests, use driver's license. 2 guests per club member only." This last part was underlined twice. My ID is old, but look at that. It's still valid. I showed my ID, which looked a little cleaner than its age had much right to look at. Dad had taken us here a few times when I was younger, but since Kobe really didn't like guns much, it was a pretty short-lived thing. I could probably remember enough of the basics. I peered around the building, trying to scope him out. I mean, how hard could it be to find a guy his size? I didn't have any luck, but the range wasn't exactly huge. If he was still here, I'd have to find him. Look around for him. I didn't want to miss him, especially since I was a little late. I started to wander down the right arm of the extended T shape of the range spaces, checking for him while keeping a respectful distance. I watched a few of the patrons shooting at the targets with a mix of success. With each loud bang, I started to doubt if I'd find Zenith without bumping into him. Even with the required ear protectors, some of the larger guns were enough to rattle the wood boards of the floor a little. I was nearly through checking this side with only the percussive company of the strangers before a large hand clapped on my back, startling me a little. Was I spacing out? Or was it just the ear covers? Either way, I had a pretty good idea who'd pat my shoulder with that kind of force.
Hey, Tujo, you made it. And here I thought you were never going to show up. Hey, you okay? You don't look so hot.
I laughed it off, adjusting my headset where the combination of the jumping and his slap had knocked it wonky. Yeah. You know, a guy your size shouldn't go around jumping out at people, right? You pretty much chopped my head off. He laughed with a, yeah, all in good fun gesture. I finally got a good look at the dragon out from under the ambient light and the neon of the club. His vest top left very little to the imagination, hugging the solid mountain range of his abs. Not to mention that more of his broad shoulders and thick arms on display was far from the worst either. I threw him a playful smirk and nudged him with my shoulder. Not that I really expected to budge him. Maybe a little warning before you go all urban commando on me. He laughed it off and spoke up before my gutter mind could linger too long on the concept of him going commando in another way.
Sorry, don't know my own strength sometimes. You alright?
His earnestness more than made up for it. I nodded as he indicated down to his booth and we started heading over towards it. I'm fine. Takes a bit more than that to take me out. So, shooting range, huh? Not my first idea for a place to hang out on day off.
Well, I like to come down here to blow off some steam, you know? Something cathartic about squeezing off a few rounds. And believe me, after that other night...
I couldn't blame the dark cloud that came over his expression as he recalled the flight with Rose.
Yep, been glad to be blowing off some steam after that shit show. You didn't need to see that crap. Not the first time he's done it, either.
It didn't bother me that much. In fact, it shows what a good person you are for being able to invite me out here even after Rose tried to mess this up for the both of us. It doesn't seem like he was treating you any fairer than he was treating me.
Well, damn, Tujo. Thanks. That means a lot.
Don't mention it, Zenith. It's the truth, after all. So, you done shooting, or do you want to keep going a little?
Sounds good to me, Tujo. Over here.
I couldn't help but notice the target he had been practicing on. There were multiple holes directly in the center of the target, and a couple of dead-on shots in the head region. It was pretty impressive, and also sort of scary. I guess I knew not to piss the guy off. He was clearly talented. I followed Zenith over to his spot on the range. It looked like he had already been practicing for a while. There was a large boxy pistol on the table. I didn't know the model, but it looked like a police pistol. In the booth, there was half an empty box of bullets. He had his own earplugs too, which he loosely slipped on. One pistol. I suppose if I was going to shoot, we'd have to take turns.
Alright, let me just empty this clip here, and then we'll swap out.
Alright, Zenith, show me what you got. I watched as the dragon slipped his plugs in. They were the professional ones that hung around the neck in a band. I guess he came here a lot. He picked up the pistol, checked the safety, and stepped up to the mark before switching it on and aiming. He stood like a real pro. He'd mentioned something about cop training, and he seemed to slip back into that role as he concentrated. I adjusted my own earmuffs. He peered over to make sure I had done so too, and the range was clear before drawing a line down the gun. Shots rang out. 1, 2, then a quick double, 3, 4. So quick the sounds almost blurred together. He flicked the safety back on, ejected the empty magazine, and quickly ratcheted the slide twice. He must have known exactly how many rounds he had left, because I didn't see him pull the trigger dry. Zenith flicked the plugs out of his ears and scooped up the other spent magazines on the surface into his hand like magic. He admires his handiwork for a moment with a grin. 2 solid shots to the head, and the last 2 laid atop each other in the heart of the blank silhouette. Shit! Good shooting, dude.
Phew. How'd you like that, eh? Ain't much better shooting than that outside the flashy movie stuff.
You know, you could pass for a movie star with a performance like that. You got the looks, the skills. I bet all the pretty ladies would be swooning all over you.
Trying to butter me up, huh? Well, hopefully it wouldn't just be the ladies who were swooning.
I could feel the heat rush to my cheeks as he spoke. Zenith had already hit me on me at the club, but the casual compliments gave me butterflies. Well, yeah, okay. Now that you mention it, I guess I would get a little jealous if there were a bunch of fangirls mobbing you. Not that I consider myself a professional swooner. I mean, okay, you're a hunk. But I'm not planning on starting a fan club, alright? I cut myself off before I just rambled on endlessly under his playful expression. To my surprise, Zenith didn't call me a dork or anything. He just winked before letting out a hearty laugh.
You're killing me here, Tujo. I don't think my heart can take any more of that. We'll discuss my future in the movie business later, huh? So, you ever fire one of these before?
I fired a gun before, though maybe not one as fancy as yours. I'm not like a total newbie or anything, but a refresher might be a good idea, especially since it's your gun.
Oh yeah? Well, that makes my job a little easier. Here, let me refresh your memory a bit. These newer model Block 21s aren't too hard to get your head around.
And there we stood. Zenith showed me the ins and outs of how to use his firearm. He took his time and explained everything simply, starting with how the safety works, and the safety before moving on to other features. He felt like a proper teacher, and also like he'd either done this before, or certainly knew his stuff. He must seriously love guns. He went over how to reload, how to stand properly, and even some tips on how to aim. The best part was how close he was. He really got into showing me the proper posture, his muscular chest up against my back and snout on my shoulder to check my sights. I felt like I might melt against him, but I contained myself. He smelled like that manly clove body wash with a horse guy in the advertisements. Before the embrace could drive me to a response, or get too distracting to listen to his advice, he nodded and stepped back away.
So, did you get all that? There's nothing you're still unsure about, right?
If you go over it again, does that mean we get to cuddle up all close again?
I mean, that was for the sake of showing you how to properly aim, but maybe. Let's see how you shoot first.
Huh, don't worry. I'm just messing with you. So, is there anything else you need to know, or do I just have at it?
You should be good. Show me how it's done, Tujo. You got a real pro for a teacher. so I expect nothing but perfection here.
Uh-oh. I didn't mean to go again, by the way.
Hot damn. Not bad. Not bad. That's pretty impressive. But then again, you did have me teaching you.
I snickered and blew the barrel of my gun like I saw in the movies, despite the lack of any smoke. Still, the rush of shooting was even better with him here. Zenith had that silly, toothy grin plastered all over his face again, obviously impressed beyond his playful self-compliment. Hell, I might not have had the same speed he did, but I had a feeling I'd been coming here a lot more frequently if it would have been him like this every time. So, I've been meaning to ask, how'd you get so good with that pistol anyway?
Oh, well, just a lot of practice, I guess.
He had that look like he'd just seen a ghost again. He was definitely hiding something. He mentioned something about official training back at the club, but did it go beyond that? I'm sorry. Seems like this is an awkward topic. We can forget I even asked and get back to having fun, okay?
Look, it's not that I don't trust you or anything like that. It's just, it's not something I want to talk about. Thanks for understanding.
It's fine, Zenith. We came out here to blow off some steam, remember? Let's get back to it. For the time being, maybe it was best to leave it be. It didn't take long for him to compose himself again. Whatever it was, it seemed like it was maybe a little bit bigger than our unofficial first date.
Sorry, Tujo. Must have been the adrenaline getting me all riled up. Want to get back to it? You gotta go through all the clips. It's my turn to show you what I can do with more than full bullets.
I nodded and let the topic go. We were just getting ready to get back to firing off some more rounds when I heard a soft voice behind me. Zenith? Is that really you? I can't believe it. I haven't seen you in years. The soft voice belonged to someone I didn't know. The young-looking deer headed our way. Zenith's eyes widened at the sight of him, though I got the impression the emotion behind them was mixed. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words seemed to come out. Hey, you must be a friend of Zenith's, right? My name's Tujo. Pleasure to meet you. Oh, no, that's okay. The pleasure's all mine, Tujo. My name's Jason. And yeah, I would definitely consider Zenith a friend of mine. More than a friend, actually.
More than a friend?
You must have known each other for a long time. I'd say best friends? It doesn't seem like you're the same age for school friends. No, actually. We only briefly met in the hospital. Zenith is more than a friend because he's a hero, as far as I'm concerned.
A hero? What do you mean?
Zenith? Zenith fidgeted nervously as I spoke to Jason, but he didn't say anything. All I could do was stand back and hope they'd shed some light on this.
Jason,
Well, Zenith saved my life a few years ago. What? He saved your life? What happened? I mean, if you don't mind me asking.
It was nothing, really. I was just doing my job, you know.
Don't listen to him. He's being too modest. And a big softy under all those muscles. A few years back, I got into a car accident. A pretty serious one. A T-bone at an intersection. I'll spare you the details, but I was pinned underneath my car and needed help quick. My belt had choked me unconscious from where the frame got it all buckled. I was silent as I listened to Jason. Zenith was looking away as much as he could without being rude. The story seemed to be making him uncomfortable, but I couldn't exactly tell the guy to stop telling his life-altering story. I was in really bad shape. The ambulance with the jaws of life didn't get there until about 5 minutes later, I was told. The car was leaking fuel and was going to... Well, to be honest, I should have probably died there that night. The next thing I remember was waking up next to a handsome police officer in my hospital bed.
I wasn't that handsome. I was shaking like a leaf.
Hush you. See, Zenith happened to be on patrol nearby when I got into my accident. He tore into the car to pry me out before the fire could get to me.
Zenith, is that true?
That's incredible. The tall man couldn't bring himself to look at either of us, though there was a hint of a blush rising on his stoic features. It's all true. He performed CPR. He made sure I got to the hospital in one piece. He sat at my bedside all night, even if he didn't realize I was still awake. My throat was hurt, and at the time, I didn't know if I'd ever be able to speak again, so I was never able to say thank you properly.
You don't have to do that, Jason. You already sent me a thank you card to the department the next day. I still have it even. I was just doing my job. Anyone would have done it.
Jason didn't give him any time to react. In an instant, his arms wrapped around his toed midsection in a warm embrace. Zenith seemed uncomfortable. Maybe this was my chance to learn more about him. Zenith looked over to me, and our eyes caught one another's. No words were needed. I simply smiled warmly and nodded whatever consent there was for me to give. Zenith wrapped his large arms around Jason, pulling him in close. Jason peered up at Zenith as a little tear rolled up and down his cheeks, enjoying the moment until he finally pulled away. Thank you. Thank you so much, Zenith. After Jason pulled away, Zenith gave a brief smile, but he was obviously gritting his teeth. Something was definitely wrong, and Jason noticed it. He quickly clapped a hand over his mouth as if he could take back the whole thing. Oh, no. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot.
Hey, don't worry about it, okay? I'm just glad you're doing alright there, Jason.
Oh, hey. Here, for you. The deer reached into his backpack to pull out a large bouquet of white lilies. They seemed very fresh. I heard around town that you went to this gun range here a lot. I caught your message on Facebook about heading out here, so I got these for you. Please, take them. And I'm sorry for getting carried away there. He handed over the flowers, which Zenith took with a reluctance that seemed almost like he might be allergic. They shared one last platonic hug before Jason bowed out of the conversation, taking a step back towards the entrance. I'm glad I was able to meet you again, Zenith. I don't want to interrupt your day, though. It was nice meeting you as well, Tujo. I'm sure we'll see each other again soon.
Yeah, you take care, Jason. Thanks for the flowers.
Zenith and I stood there for a moment before both of us looking at the bouquet of flowers like we had never seen one before. The silence was thick. It was Zenith who finally broke it, though.
So, guess there ain't no hiding it now, huh? Cat's out of the bag.
Why would you hide that, though? You saved someone's life. That's pretty amazing, Zenith.
I got my reasons. It just hurts to remember some things, you know? Good days are all well and good, but there's plenty of bad ones too.
I can only imagine. Were you a cop for long before you moved at working at Amorous? Zenith set the flowers down, a smile finally returning to his face. He wrapped an arm around my shoulder, pulling me close before he spoke.
Tell you what there, Tujo. It's been a long time since I've been able to spend some one-on-one time with someone like this. It's nice. Listen, I'm tired of hiding out here, even if I'm not usually one to open up and shit. I'm tired of running from this crappy stuff. But it's nice to do something normal for a change. Tell you what, we'll get into all those questions, just not in the middle of the range, yeah? Next date, we'll do something relaxing and get all this shit out in the open, yeah?
I peered up at Zenith, dwarfed by the size of him. Despite that, I felt relaxed against him already. I guess that wasn't quite the situation he was talking about. Protected? Maybe that was a better word for how he made me feel. Somewhere we could go to relax and not be bothered by people. I had it. Picnic. Did I really just blurt that out?
Picnic?
Not the smoothest transition, but with him leaning in so close, there was only so much platonic hugging I could take for today before the urge welled up to kiss or nudge snouts with him. You heard me. A picnic. You said you wanted to do something nice, right? Let's have a picnic. I sort of figured we might have had our range day crashed enough for one day. And I suppose you should get those flowers in water before they go bad. He burst into laughter, squeezing me close in a half hug, half headlock before letting me go.
A picnic? I guess we can't have guns and ammo for every date. Just a little girly. Nothing wrong with that. Just trying to work you out is all.
He's kidding, right? He can't work me out?
A picnic? You know, that sounds amazing. I could go for a picnic with you too, Joe. We can talk about whatever you want. You want to talk about my past? Fine. I'll fill you in.
Awesome. Okay, then it's a date. I'll give you a call when I've got a free afternoon and the weather is looking okay. Yeah?
Sure thing. Hey, you need a ride home, right? I gotta pack this stuff up first.
I'd love to, but I've got my car with me today. Do you want a carpool next time at least?
Sure. Just don't pack too many sandwiches. Otherwise, you'll get stranded out there while I sleep them off.
I'll see you later, Zenith. Text me with some food ideas, okay? We left things at a cordial, but slightly overlong hug and a smile that said we'd both enjoyed ourselves despite the interruption. I guess I can't blame him for holding off on the serious questions until our next date, especially not to spoil the tenuous mood after Jason stopped by. Somewhere along the ride home, I started to wonder, had I called it a date first, or at Zenith? The mutual agreement that it was indeed a date had its own excitement to it, like some semi-formal agreement. I guess we'd see what his answers to some of my questions were first. Alright, so that was our first meetup with Zenith. I don't know if you could necessarily call it a date, because it was never explicitly stated that it was a date, just kind of hanging out, getting a feel for one another. But we'll definitely pick this up next episode, so hope you enjoyed it. Let me go ahead and save. Alright, so hope you all enjoyed the reading. I'll definitely be picking up with this next episode, probably in half a week. So, till next time, guys, take care and peace. I hope you all have a better one.